Welcome to Florida Focus, a college football podcast. My name is Brandon. I am a lifetime Florida State Seminole fan.
And I am Chris, and I am an excited Gator fan.
And we are putting aside our differences as rivals to bring in the fantastic world of college football throughout the Sunshine State. And Chris, the announcements are finally here. Week 15, the regular season and conference title games are over. We have in the bowl picks, which we're going to go through one at a time. So let me start by saying congratulations. The Gators make yet another NY6 Bowl, going to the Orange Bowl to play the Virginia Cavaliers. How you feeling?
I'm excited, man. I like that. I know that it's not where we want to be, but, man, I just keep telling myself, like, we didn't go to a bowl game a couple years ago. I love it. I love being in the spotlight. I love the success, and we're taking a step closer to where we want to be. So I'm very happy about that. And it's in the backyard, essentially. So I'll actually be going to this game.
Yeah.
So all good things.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll have a lot more to weigh in on these matchups later on. But do you have any initial thoughts on just going up against the ACC run-up and the Cavaliers?
Everyone is saying, like, it should be a blowout. Right, and I really think it should be a blowout. It's not like a sexy pick or a team to face,
yeah.
But I'm very interested, and we can talk this later. I'm very interested to see who from Florida is actually going to be playing in the game, because now we have this culture of guys sitting out if they know they're going to go to the draft. We already have one guy, Henderson, C.J. Henderson, our starting corner.
Yeah.
He said he's going to sit out, and I think there's going to be several others to follow. So my feeling might change closer to kickoff, but it's not maybe an exciting one like, say, Wisconsin or like a Penn State. But I'll take it for sure.
Yeah, the guy sitting out, that's going to affect just about every squad. Probably less going to affect the teams that are just eager to be there and don't go very often.
Right.
But I think you're right in saying this is one of these teams is not like the other.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately this year, the Orange Bowl being tied to an ACC team really robbed a school like Minnesota from getting a NY6 Bowl who probably deserved it more.
Yeah.
And you're stuck with this tie-in, and the ACC just kind of crapped out this year. There's no other way to say it. Wake Forest fell off. Virginia Tech couldn't win a game that mattered. And so you have a 4-loss team going to the Orange Bowl, and it just doesn't really fit. Now, Bryce Perkins is a great story. Bronco Mendenhall, the coach of Virginia, has really turned things around. Virginia beats Va Tech for the first time in 15 seasons. But the talent is heavily skewed toward the Gators. Even with a couple guys sitting out, I would imagine my opinion gradually will not change.
Yeah, but the good thing is that we do have some common opponents in Florida State and Miami that we can kind of get a gauge of how we should do. And based on that, Florida should be fine. I'm just kind of waiting to see who announces before I get crazy. But I mean, it was the third best SEC and the second best ACC, and there's a huge gap there. It just kind of speaks a lot to the ACC and SEC. But I think we should be all right. Perkins does worry me a little bit. But if you look at the numbers, despite their coach in Mendenhall and his typical philosophy, they pass the ball kind of like we do. Like the ratio to run is very similar to us. So I think if we can make them one-dimensional and contain Perkins, I think we should be fine. But I'm kind of concerned who is actually going to be playing for us.
Yeah, Perkins can be a little unpredictable, which is hard for defenses to prepare for. So
yeah,
we'll wait and see and give a full preview in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah,
but yeah, the Gators finished in 2. What was the final ranking? 8, 7,
9.
9. Okay, and deservedly so. I think that's a really good spot for them.
Yeah, I think there's a couple teams that we might have. You can argue that we should be up a little bit higher, but does it matter? No. A top 10 in an Orange Bowl, I'll take it.
Yep.
So.
And I apologize, Chris, if I'm repeating myself, but you and I talked either on a previous episode or off air about the fact that Virginia would magically be ranked by the time this game started. And
Yep.
Sure enough, we were right. Because the committee can't be wrong, and they can't send an unranked team to a matchup like this. But Virginia is now the 24th best team in the country. Let's not kid ourselves.
Well, they were magically ranked before Clemson, and they got blown out, and magically the ranking didn't move.
They dropped like one spot, maybe.
Yeah. And I was just kind of like, okay, you got me the first time. The second time, I'm onto it.
Fool me once, shame on you.
Yeah.
Give up 62 in a title game. I think that's only like the fifth time in the last 30 years someone scored 60 points in a conference title game. That's just testimony to how big of a difference Clemson is versus everyone else in the ACC right now.
Yeah. Florida does have history on its side going to this game. I believe we're 3-0 in the Orange Bowl and 4-0 all time. If you include the national championship game against Oklahoma, we're 4-0 playing there. So we do have that going for us. That helps.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, essentially a home game. I can't imagine Virginia travels very well. So you guys are gonna have stadium yourself. I would guess.
I would think it's gonna be like 70-30, if that. Like,
sure.
So I'm excited. It's a home away from home game.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. All right. So Gators off of the Orange Bowl, major bowl bid yet again. Mm-hmm. Florida State back in a bowl game. I guess I could complain about the bowl, but I'm not going to at all because last year we were 5-7. The Noles are going to travel to El Paso, Texas. You're going to play in the Sun Bowl against Arizona State.
Yeah.
Chris, when you coach a game, you play to win the game.
Okay, good.
You play to win the game. Herm Edwards is the coach of Arizona State, and this is going to be kind of a cool matchup. Arizona State finishes 7-5. I'll do plenty of research before we give a full preview, but this is exciting. Arizona State, scary. They did win against Oregon.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They pulled off a major upset not even a month ago. They have great coaching. That definitely has an advantage over Florida State right now because from what I'm hearing, will not have Mike Norvell. Not that would make much of a difference. Looks like Odo Haggins will probably still be coaching this game, or at least be doing all the practices leading up to. Yeah. We'll see how Florida State decides to play it out. But
I think that would be odd to just throw in Norvell.
It wouldn't make sense. He needs to recruit. And he already started today. I'll get to them more later. But yeah, there's not a lot of benefit to him being there. He's got a lot of things to take care of outside of that. But I like this matchup. But we don't play the Pac-12 hardly ever.
Right.
If memory serves, just off the top of my head, I think the Emerald Bowl, when we played UCLA in like 2006, was the last time we played a Pac-12 team.
Oh man, okay.
So it's been a bit.
I'm trying to think of when's the last.
Oh, I just thought of one. I'm sorry. We played Oregon in the Rose Bowl.
Oh yeah,
that one's easy to forget because we lost 59-20.
Yeah.
But I guess you got to count that one too.
Technically.
So actually, two teams in the last 13 years.
Yeah. Florida scheduled a home and home with Arizona State in the future. So.
Oh yeah.
But that's so Florida State gets to crack at them first. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
In El Paso, technically it is the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl.
I was really hoping that would not come up.
Yes, it's going. We did a whole episode about bowl names.
Yeah,
that's not going to slip by me.
And the next, their great comment I hear, I'm just gonna punch a wall. I'm just gonna do it.
You wait till the week of, the day of, during the game.
Oy vey.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna get gold-plated cereal boxes if we win this game.
Okay,
Frosted Flakes.
Oh, please do that. All jokes aside, please make that happen.
But yeah, that's I'm kind of excited about this. This is a game that Florida State could win, just like you. Who's going to sit out the game? The guy who's been the anchor of the team the entire season, Cam Akers. What's he going to do? What's his decision here? Tamari and Terry's another guy. These are both guys that have served 3 years in college. They're pretty much gone from here. Marvin Wilson's already out for the year with an injury. Now he's really our best defensive player. This is going to be a tough one. I think there's a lot to our advantage. Literally nothing to lose. Herm Edwards is trying to build a brand. Aside from Benjamin, I have to look and see what Arizona State's kind of game plan is. But generally from what I've seen, they're a pretty low-scoring team, and so they hold you on defense a lot. I would imagine that's kind of what they're going to approach the game with here. Kind of like halfway between schools. I think it's close to Arizona, technically.
Right.
But I'm looking forward to this one. It should be fun for sure. Florida State does need to get a win here to maintain a winning season. Otherwise, we finish 6-7.
Yeah.
Plus, you get a little bit bigger payout if you win the bowl game, so that's always good too.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be interesting. I don't know. Do you know the status on Nasruddin? Is it like a seasoning thing, or have they announced what?
Looked
what
like
it
a
was?
non-contact ACL, which means he's out for probably close to a year.
Okay, but they haven't officially said that, or just?
I haven't checked recently, but from last time I saw, that's what it looked like.
Because during the game, that's what it looked like, but I haven't heard since that. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting that it's close as far as proximity in the middle of both of them. Arizona State and Herm, you got to watch out for them. I think it's a team on the rise, and so that's gonna be a tough one for Florida State.
Yeah. We haven't been to the Sun Bowl since 1966. We've been twice, 66 and 1955. We lost both.
Okay.
Once was to Wyoming. But this was all pre-Bobby Bowden, so who knows how you want to take that.
Yeah, you do have to. If you look at Florida State's history and records and stuff, there is the BB and AB before Bowden, after Bowden. It's a huge difference.
Very true. But yeah, excited nonetheless. Glad to be back on. And it's playing late. It's New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
So it feels elite, even if it's not.
Yeah. But it is was it 2 p.m.? So you can still watch it and then go to your New Year's Eve festivities.
Absolutely.
It's good. Because that's what really bugged me back in the day when they would have all the Peach Bowl would always be on the New Year's Eve and you want to watch it, but you don't want to go celebrate. And but now you don't have to worry about that. So
yep.
It's good.
All good. Very good. Very true. Okay. That was pretty much all my thoughts on that game. More to come later.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move on to the Miami Hurricanes, shall we?
Yeah.
They're playing Louisiana Tech in the Independence Bowl, and this is where Florida State was 2 years ago. Any initial thoughts on the Canes here?
I mean, the fact that it's in Louisiana does not help them. I think a lot of their players are going to be jumping, especially the way the season ended. Initially, I don't know anything about Louisiana Tech, to be honest. I just know about Miami and the location. My early lean to be La Tech on this.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty even matchup. La Tech out of Conference USA, clearly a weaker conference. However, Miami did lose to a Conference USA team in FAU.
Mm-hmm.
And FAU lost to La Tech early in the year. La Tech, just off the top of my head, I do know that they were pretty decent contention for Conference USA early on. And later in the season, they just kind of fell off. They had some suspensions and some guys get in trouble, some of their key players. And they weren't able to rebound. I think they finished 8-4 or something like that. But yes, this is essentially a home game because this is in Shreveport and La Tech's in Ruston. Those aren't far apart at all.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a reoccurring theme, but guys like DJ Dallas and Jordan, and a couple guys in their defense, I just don't see them sticking around for this game. When they are clearly NFL talent, I just don't see why they would play this game.
Yeah, the linebacker core and some defensive talent. It was kind of a surprise that someone stayed even this year.
Right.
So let alone to stay for a last game that matters very little.
Right.
You're right. I would be surprised too. Now, if they do go, that changes the chances that Miami has. And I don't know. You give a team a month off. Maybe the offense does figure some things out, but clearly this season they have not. And they did come out. They had the whole offseason to figure out a game plan for Florida, and they played decently well, minus the 10 sacks. La Tech's just not going to get over on them like that.
Yeah.
So it may change some things, but yeah, early on, Miami may lose yet another bowl game.
I mean, Miami has that ability to beat a really good team, but then they have the ability to lose at home against Georgia Tech and FIU. So, which Miami team, how much of their team is going to show up? Big questions.
Yeah.
But we'll dive deeper into that.
Right. Or would it be the team that beat Virginia? Who knows?
Right. Yep.
Okay. How How about the Knights, UCF?
GASPARILLA
Bowl, Bad Boy Mowers. Everybody
Yes.
gets their blade sharpened if they're victorious here. Playing against Marshall in Old Conference Row. UCF used to be in Conference USA, and this is a game that was a regular season matchup for a little bit. So, going to see a familiar opponent. The players won't know this, but the coaching staff and old alumni will.
Right.
So, Marshall had a really good season. Only conference loss for Florida Atlantic.
Yeah.
And just nearly snuck into the conference title game last weekend. What are your thoughts on this game?
I think it's Marshall's third team from Florida that they're playing this year. In Florida now. You got to think that UCF handles this in Tampa, essentially. It's in Tampa, right?
Tampa, yeah.
So they're rivals stadium. So it's like Florida playing a bowl game in Doak. Oh, that'd be weird. That's just odd. That's just funny to me. But yeah, there's some I guess familiarity with them. Marshall is a tough one though. It'd be even. I think it's more evenly matched than you think it would be initially.
Yeah.
Even though it is in Florida, essentially, how far away is it from Orlando to Tampa?
Hour 15 minutes.
Hour, yeah, okay. So a home game.
Yep.
For UCF, but I wouldn't count Marshall out. You'd think initially you look at this and you think, oh, UCF's got them at home, but watch out for the Herd.
Yeah, a sneaky good team in Conference USA. I think they would have even had a winning record if you were to just put them this year in the Sun Belt or even the American.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even know about the traveling to Florida so much. How about that? Actually, UCF has played, if my calculations are right, 3 or 4 bowl games in the Tampa area.
Oh, okay.
So they played, a lot of them were, 2 of them, were in St. Pete. They played Rutgers once and Ball State once, which is the Tampa Bay Ray Stadium. So this bowl game is to be played there, I think, or had a different name. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, they moved it to Raymond James. Last year, South Florida played in this game and lost to Marshall. So Marshall goes back to the same bowl back-to-back years, just a different opponent.
Okay. Wow. That's going to be a fun one to watch.
Yeah. You're right, though. Very evenly matched. Sneakily really good, even teams there.
Yeah. And we have FAU versus SMU, the Boca Raton Bowl. Right. FAU gets to play a conference championship game and their bowl game at home.
It's unfair. I don't get it.
That ain't right, man.
And this bowl game goes to the conference champion every year. So UAB got to do this last year. It's weird.
That is strange. They got to figure that out. There's enough stadiums within the state that they can move it around.
And it's like this bowl game is new. It's like they expanded to be like, oh, we think FAU is going to continue to be good. Let's just give them a home bowl game.
Right.
And I've never been a fan of home bowl games. The Rose Bowl for UCLA USC, the Orange Bowl for Miami, that's all kind of garbage to me. I do not like it.
Yeah. Well, at least with Miami and the Rose Bowl, you have to be really, really good.
Right.
Here, you don't have to be that fantastic when you get a
good
home
point.
game. That's not cool. And if you're if you're an FAU fan, don't you want to travel? Don't you want to go to a different game, the neutral site?
I don't know. They don't even want to travel to their homes. Did you see the attendance against UAB? It was pathetic. It wasn't even 3,000 people there.
That's not good.
Yeah, it was bad. Anyway, the matchup I really like. SMU had a great season. Initially, I like the Mustangs pretty big in this one, probably because Kiffin's leaving, but the talent from what I've seen from the Mustangs just... the American Conference itself just took a huge step forward this year. And I think you had 5 teams with 9 wins plus. That's big. And Florida Atlantic, the competition in Conference USA just isn't there. So when they step out, I think they're heavily overmatched. So initially I would like SMU, but some further research may change mine. We'll see.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how Kiffin not being there is going to play into FAU's performance. And then just the idea of playing at home again. How is that going to factor? Is it a good thing, bad thing? Interesting stuff there. But FAU seems to be rolling, though. the second half of the season there, they got things in the right direction, but how much is Lane not going to be there going to affect them?
Yep. I think 5 or 6 wins in a row. So what a great finish for the Owls, and way to rebound after a bowl this season last year.
Right.
Well done.
And then FIU and Arkansas State and the CAMELLIA, I don't know, something, Montgomery, Alabama.
CAMELLIA Bowl, that's the way I was going.
Good, I'll trust you on that one.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what to think about this one. I'm confused. I probably early lean to Arkansas State. I don't have much faith in FIU now. But who knows?
I mean, they showed they can win a big game, but they only had one big win this year against Miami, and they were victorious.
Yeah.
Almost blew out in Miami. Nearly won by 2 scores. Arkansas State, it's just always kind of been a mediocre kind of school. 7 or 8 wins. I think they're in the Sun Belt. And FIU hasn't shown a lot of consistency. If they're on their game, they win this game pretty easily. But you just don't know who's going to show up. Does Morgan come out? Do you get a good game from Jones on the ground? It's really hard to say. And unpredictability in the month off for bowl games usually favors the defense. So that's kind of an interesting plus, I would think. But I'll reserve my opinion until I have to, because I just cannot figure out the Panthers.
Yeah, I have no clue either. This is the most head-scratching teams I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Man, I've seen LSU and Auburn in the past few years. But I don't know. Well, for the Panthers, but they need this. They need this because the last few games, just after that Miami win, they didn't play that well at the end after that, so they really need this game. Yeah,
then they lost to Marshall, which was pretty close. But, I mean, this is a team that, heck, I didn't think it was even going to make a bowl game. So, it's just kind of like, are they just happy to be there and they just play with some reckless abandon? Time will tell.
Right.
But that means then all but one team, we know South Florida wasn't bowl eligible, all but one team is in a bowl game this year.
Yeah, that's good. Good for the state.
Very, very good. Bring in that money.
Mm-hmm. Bring in that money.
Yeah.
Make here a T-shirt. It says Brandon. Bring in that money.
I'll wear it.
Yeah.
I'll wear it.
And absolutely no one will understand it, but I'll know.
That's all that matters.
Talking about. Yep.
Oh man. We like Chris said, we will do a full preview of each game as the coming weeks unfold. I think you and I, Chris, I want to take a couple minutes to talk about some of the coaching updates around the state.
Yeah. Let's talk about. We'll go the Knowles, then we'll just finish up with FAU's game and their coaching change.
Okay. Yeah. So Mike Norvell, as we kind of already came to you with, now the head coach of the Florida State Seminoles, and as I mentioned earlier, and I'll kind of echo this again, this is probably a B higher if I were to grade it. You see a guy who had a lot of success in the group of 5. His journey kind of goes as follows. He was an assistant with Todd Graham, who was a coach at Tulsa, 1 year at Pittsburgh, and then made most of his fame at Arizona State, where Mike Norvell was an offensive coordinator. He was then hired to take over Memphis after Justin Fuente goes to Virginia Tech. In the last 4 seasons, his numbers have been great. There are some question marks. How well will he recruit Florida? Does he know the program very well? Can he establish relationships with existing coaches or recruits to keep that going? No reason to believe that wouldn't happen, but these are all things that are unknowns currently. He flew into Tallahassee this morning after telling his Memphis team he was not going to be staying the coach there. He is yet to decide whether or not he coaches the bowl game. He says he needs a couple more days to think about it. So as of now, we don't know, and Florida State has said Odo Haggins is not going anywhere and is going to be the coach for the practices for the bowl. So you take that however you want. I don't know what it is either. So the little uncertainty there, and I don't know how that'll affect the players of the current roster. And I like this hire. There's a lot of reasons to be excited. It's kind of like it's like a wedding toast. You don't say anything bad about a person during a wedding toast. So you're not going to hear anything bad about Norvell, at least for a few days. I can tell you that. And I don't see any reason why there should be any concern here. I think the biggest thing is he's not a big name. A lot of people who don't follow the sport closely like we do will not know who he is. And you're going to have to kind of explain, okay, he was here and here and here. And they're like, well, that's not any school I know. And why does he go by Michael? And who's his wife? And are they, I don't know. Here's his record, okay? 37-12.
Yeah.
But more important than a record is, can you turn around a program? And he didn't have to turn on Memphis because Fuente kind of did that. He kept it where it was and made it better.
Okay.
And, those are good things. No Power 5 experience as a head coach. So that's another unknown. Can he win the big game? And until yesterday, the answer was kind of no. He did finally win the American title, and he took his team to the Cotton Bowl. But before that, winless against UCF. Twice in the title game, he had a lead, and he lost it against the Knights. So at least he exercised that demon to win a big game there. Overall, though, I am very excited. I like the progress he has shown. He's kind of he's a Texas guy. And he kind of, obviously knows he went to college in Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee kind of area. There's certainly a lot of upswing with Mark Norvell. Those are my initial thoughts. I thought he nailed the press conference. He did a very good job. He's not a kind of guy I've seen that shows a lot of emotion, but when it came to, explaining how he was going to force it back to prominence, that's when he got excited, and he got the fan base excited too.
Yeah, I was thinking before I even heard your reaction, I was thinking B. It's a solid B. Not like a home run great hire, but it's really good. I don't know if it's a home run, but it's a double. It's going to put you in scoring position, So it's good. I think it's a good hire for them, good pickup for them. I think I know this is going to sound weird because I have hindsight, but I think it's a better hire than Taggart was, just as far as his resume. I think I was a little bit more impressed. Although, Taggart was at a school like Oregon. And it's easy to say that now, obviously. But I've been impressed what he's done at Memphis, getting that program there. There are some little red flags. He doesn't know Florida. And so Taggart was a great recruit because he knew Florida. He's going to have to he's a little behind the 8 ball, especially with the early signing period. Yeah. So that's something that's kind of – you might see the impact this year, and then you might need a year to get the recruiting going. The big games until the conference championship games, he hasn't won. He's 0-3 in the bowls with, I believe, Memphis.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Good one.
So that's kind of – he's going to figure out – because he's going to place a lot of big games in the ACC. At Florida State, I should say, because you're going to have Miami, you're going to have Clemson and Florida every year. And then, throw in maybe a Virginia Tech, one of those guys jumps in, and then a bowl game. So he's going to have a couple more. It's not just one UCF team he has to face. It's 3 or 4 every year that he's going to have to face. So that kind of concerns me a little bit. But he seems like a nice guy. He seems like a guy that a smart guy, knows what he's doing, knows what he's talking about. And I think it's a solid B choice for the Noles.
Yeah, and I think the fan base, this is just my personal thought, is I think he did just as well as Taggart did in his opening press conference. So everyone was like, oh, he's going to be great. But then you're like, oh, wait, we know what happened with Taggart. So you're like, okay, let me reserve my excitement until we see the field in 8 months.
And you should, and you really should. That's, as a Gator fan and as your friend, I've been through this before. I was kind of excited with Muschamp, and with McElwain, I was kind of like, they're saying he's better, but I've been burned, and
gotcha.
He really wasn't. So yeah, you're gonna have to wait, and you're gonna have to be patient. You're definitely gonna have to be patient, but I think he sets the Noles up for success. I really do. You're gonna need some time with him.
Okay.
But I don't think it's a bad hire. I don't think it's a great hire, but it's a solid B. B will pass.
Yep.
So good for them, and I'm glad that they got him now, because they had this coaching search extended for like another week or two. That would have looked real bad. Would have been bad for recruiting, and then you're talking about like Tennessee head coaching search a couple years ago. So they needed the timing of that too. They needed it to happen now, and they did. So I think it's a solid hire for them. Obviously, you're going to have some red flags, but I think what he has done at Memphis is a good job, and I think he can bring some of that to Florida State.
Yeah. So I also did want to clarify a few things that came out in the introductory press conference today. So Norvell was actually one of the first guys Florida State interviewed. The interview went 4 hours, which they say is way longer than you would normally expect. And he was the last interview and the only guy that was offered the job.
Oh, really?
So all of the Campbell, Franklin, Stoops, none of them were actually given an offer.
Okay.
Only Norvell was.
Right,
so
right.
That's number one. Number two, he's actually been interviewed sometime around Memphis' bye week, which was like maybe a week or two after Willie Tiger left.
Okay.
So this was kind of an ongoing thing, and it probably just wasn't firmed up.
Right.
They asked about Norvell, like, when was your first impression of Florida State? And, what do you remember about them? He says, and I quote, the first piece of memorabilia I ever owned that was college football related was a license plate that I hung on my wall that said Florida State 1993 National Champions.
Really?
I don't interpret that to mean like he was a Florida State fan, but what his point was is that he said Florida State is a national brand, and my goal is to bring it back to prominence to the high level it deserves.
Mm-hmm.
So he grew up in Dallas, by the way, which is not far from where I grew up. And it's kind of interesting to know that even though that wasn't a team I don't think he was a fan of necessarily, he recognized that they were kind of one of the biggest names. So the third thing then, other than the license plate on the wall, was his recruiting. He had asked earlier, and then he was asked in the interview, what's your plan for recruiting? And he kind of laughed and said, I've already kind of started. He actually met 2 recruits like on the way to the press conference. So his itinerary Sunday was go to his team in Memphis, announce that he has taken the Florida State job. He was given a standing ovation, according to him, so the players loved him that much. He then flew to Tallahassee, went to Doak. He met 2 recruits on the way in to the stadium, walked down the field, which the whole band was playing and welcomed into the stadium. It was really cool. Then he goes into the current Florida State locker room where all the players were assembled. He tells them he's the new head coach. Then he goes to the press conference where he tells everybody else. So he started working right away. Then he went to the Florida State basketball game, addressed the fans at halftime, gave some high fives, and hit the recruiting trail. So he's been a busy man.
Yeah. I saw that he was at the basketball game. I didn't see much. I didn't see any of the press conference or any other fanfare, but I was hearing that there were some guys that he was recruiting to Memphis that might go to Florida State, and possibly the quarterback transferring over. Just a lot of rumors and hearsay. But it sounds like he's already getting things going.
Yeah.
Which is he needs to. He really needs to
hit the ground running. And so that for that reason, I really against him going back to Memphis to coach practices or the bowl game. We need him now. And so that's my opinion there. I really want him committed Florida State 100% starting today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good. Yeah, it's a good overall hire for the Noles, and they needed a win, and they got one.
Yeah. So very exciting.
All right. Speaking of win.
Yeah.
Let's see the transition there. Let's finish up with Florida Atlantic versus UAB and their conference title game.
Can you call it a game?
I don't know, scrimmage, exhibition. I don't know. They just worked in 49-6, and I'm like, what does this say about UAB? What does it say about the conference where your second best team? I don't know, maybe not the second best, but third is they're that. It's a huge gap between them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I understand that FAU was rolling and they are at home, which we talked about earlier. But man, it wasn't a game like you said. It was not a game at all. Robinson went off for 4 touchdowns. FAU had a blocked punt for a touchdown.
Yep.
Davidson had a monster game on the ground. defense holding them to 6 points all game. Yeah, this was it's good way for Kiffin to go out and good way to end the regular season for the Owls.
Yeah, I mean, their defense took the wind out of the sails immediately. They got their 20th, I repeat, 20th interception of the season. One of their corners alone has 9, and that's more than Florida State's entire team. Yeah. So they certainly controlled this game from start to finish. UAB clearly outmatched, and heck, I even picked UAB later on. I was like, "Hey, Chris, can I switch my pick?" You're like, "No, all sales are final." I was like, "All right, fine." I was like, "Maybe FAU doesn't have the motivation." Maybe a UAB sneaks up on them, and no, very, very wrong. The Owls just handled business at home. Conference USA champion, second time in 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good for them. And I was kind of curious too. Because you knew that Lane wasn't going to stay. You didn't know when or where he was going, but I was like, he's not staying. Yeah. And it's a good point. Like, were they going to be motivated? And they clearly were. Clearly were. And it stinks that they have to start over again in the last few years of success. But really good win for the Owls.
Yeah. And as far as like coaching search, I have no idea. You have to probably go with a low tier coordinator, maybe you promote from within. You take a risk on a guy. I can't imagine. I couldn't even list candidates. I mean, my first thought was Kendall Briles. He was the offensive coordinator 2 years ago at Florida Atlantic with Kiffin. They won 11 games and a conference title then. But heck, maybe Kiffin wants to hire him away to Ole Miss. Maybe this was his 1 year at Florida State and we lose Briles too.
That'd be a good one. Speaking of Kiffin going to Ole Miss, guess who Ole Miss plays next year?
Mississippi State.
Yes. Well, yes.
Alabama.
In relevance to this podcast.
LSU. Oh, okay. The Gators?
Yes.
I forgot about that.
So I was looking, we talked about this off air, like our Florida schedule sets up pretty nice next year. And our rotating West game is Ole Miss. And I'm like, they just fired their coach. We should be all right. But now it's Kiffin. Listen, we're going to be the better team. But he worries me a little bit. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. He will get up and he's just going to be chirping that whole time. But this is not a smart move because this is one of the toughest conferences, divisions in college football. Like, why do you want to go there? But he's going to go there just to tick everybody off.
He dips his toe a little bit in the crazy water, and I mean that you probably need a little bit of crazy to beat like a Saban, a Malzahn. Yeah, you just do, and wow, that's just gonna be a fun ride. I mean, I sometimes I think, does he even like care that he's a coach of a college football team? Like, is he just doing this because it pays well and he knows he can get under people's skin? Someone told me the other day, like, when he was a coordinator at Alabama, there were multiple times, Chris, the team left on the bus and he didn't even get on the bus. He had to find his own way home. I mean, this guy is just off the rails. Yeah. And I love it. I do. Can he win? He has such a weird road from the NFL to being, I don't know, is his dad good or is he good? Right. Decent at USC. It was probably his best success. 1 year at Tennessee. This guy's just been all over the place. So SEC is never dull, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I'm thankful that we have to deal with him 1 year, then the West has to deal with him the rest of the years. I don't know if I can handle him in the East. He annoys the mess out of me. But I really loved his dad at Tampa. I really liked that defense at Tampa too. Sure. But yeah, that's an interesting pickup for Ole Miss.
Yeah. So good luck to him. Yeah. And I guess the only thing is, as far as South Florida goes, the Bulls were, I think, in talks really tight rehiring. It looks, Chris, like that's not going to happen. Yeah. I'm hearing rumors about Jeff Scott, who is a co-offensive coordinator at Clemson. This is not official yet, but this is a guy that's like from an hour outside of Tampa and has been with Clemson on Dabo Swinney's staff since 2008, since Dabo was promoted to head coach. So he's seen how championship football works.
Right. That'd be a good one.
Yeah, I mean, take a run at an OC of sorts.
Right.
And I don't know, heck, I think I fully agree with you now, Chris, that Charlie Strong ends up as a defensive coordinator somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know where, but I think he'd be a good D coordinator hire, and maybe not so much coach.
Maybe Florida State.
Oh,
maybe Mike Norvell hires him.
Is there any connection there?
I would look at Strong. I don't think so. I'm just thinking as a Florida connection and a guy who knows the state and the Southeast well.
If you want to recruit, yeah, maybe.
Sure. He was with Florida since the early 2000s. I mean, this guy's been in the state like 20 years.
Yeah. True. You don't really have to necessarily have a connection. Just curious if there was. It'd be an interesting one, though.
Yeah. This is all speculation. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Nope. We're going to put it on social media as fact.
It's done.
You heard it here, folks. Brandon is reporting. You better call Charlie.
Yeah, man. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we were just saying that before we started. 1 coaching change last year with Manny Diaz, and 3 this year.
3, yeah. Maybe we'll have one where there isn't a coaching change. Maybe.
Yes. Here's to that happening.
Yeah, but for this time though, we have 3.
Yep. All right. And then real quickly, we don't really cover the national scene too much, but did you have any quick thoughts on the playoff or the Heisman?
That is, well, I think Heisman. I mean, I just don't see how it's not Burrow. And then the playoffs. This is like one of the year where it was kind of like, okay, it's clear these are the 4 top teams. The way things played out, I think they got it right. I mean, it was really hard to mess that one up. Especially the way that Ohio State struggled a little bit and LSU just dominated. That's gonna be fun, man. Good matchups. Ohio State, Clemson.
Yeah,
that's gonna be a fun game. I mean, LSU, Oklahoma is gonna be fun too, but I'm really excited for that Ohio State, Clemson game.
Yeah, I also didn't realize Ohio State hadn't been in the playoff in 3 years. I've missed it narrowly a couple times.
Right.
So they returned there. I agree. It was Burrow's. And he had to do something catastrophic to lose it, and he didn't.
Right.
You couldn't give it to a defensive player. At Ohio State, every player is too good. So, but I mean, Burrow sets the SEC record for touchdown passes in a season. I mean, you can't argue with that.
Yeah. And good for him. He I think he deserves. I think we can make small cases for the other ones, but I mean, just too much going for Burrow. And he did not – the biggest stages he played his best all year. So, so that's that. It'd be fun. I don't know who I think's going to win it all. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised at any of those 4.
Yeah.
I would be kind of surprised if Oklahoma does it, but not really given Hurts' experience there.
Yeah. Whatever the championship game is going to be, that's also going to be really fun to watch too. Whether it's LSU, Ohio State, or LSU, Clemson, which I think LSU is going to win their game. But some really quality teams there.
Yeah, very good.
Fun time.
And I mean, you're right. I still can't wrap my mind around this, and I put it on Twitter. And I said, okay, it's 2:59 p.m. now. The show started at 12 noon. If you're not a team who was going to the playoff, you can now start watching ESPN because their 3-hour recap of the top 4 teams is now finished.
Yeah,
3 hours. And you know what? They flew through all of the other New Year's Six picks in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
They knew. And I don't get it. Anyway, off my tangent there. Yeah. I think they got it right. And this one was pretty easy because you had Utah at 5 losing, Oklahoma at 6 winning, Baylor was 7, who they lost to number 6. Mm-hmm. Yet again, Georgia finishes at 5, which kind of funny, but also I'm kind of partial to Georgia. Not sure why. They just steal a lot of 4-state recruits. Maybe Kirby Smart. I like what he's doing there. He is just 1 or 2 steps behind like the other SEC schools, and he just can't get over the hump.
Yeah.
You secretly love it. You're like relishing this.
I love watching that. That's a fun game. LSU, although we play them every year, they're a big rival. More often than not, it falls into the category of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And they do that a lot with Bama, and now a couple times with Georgia here in the SEC championship games. I don't hate them as much as I probably should, because they end up playing teams I like even dislike even more. So I loved it. I absolutely loved watching that game.
Yep. Okay. So in full agreement there. Should be fun to watch for sure.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I think that'll wrap it up for us, Chris. We'll have full game previews coming up this season, and give you as many updates and as quickly as we can about coaching searches and hires and things like that. Mm-hmm. Remind the fans how they can reach out to us, Chris. They have opinions on their bowl matchups. They want to give us their own Fave 5 bowl names like we did last year. How can they do that if they want to get in touch?
Go to FloridaFocusPodcast.com. Give us your thoughts on the hires. Give us your thoughts on the bowl games. Give us your thoughts on financial struggles. I don't know. Give us your thoughts on whatever. Actually, now let's keep it a college football related.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, that's where you go. FloridaFocusPodcast.com. You can contact us or listen to all the episodes there.
Yep. And another way to give feedback is to leave a review on the podcast player of choice. The star ratings do help us, and we appreciate that because we check that out, but also the written feedback is even more so helpful. And another reminder, I haven't done this in a couple of weeks, if you want to win a $25 Amazon gift card, go to FloridaFocusPodcast.com and submit your favorite in-game college football memory in audio form. I'm not going to tell you how many entrants we have, but I am going to say, if you were to submit it right now, there's a very, very, very good chance you're going to get this. So, with that being said, Chris, is there anything else you wanted to add before we sign off?
Nope. I'm just getting excited for the bowl season. One of my favorite times of the year.
Yeah, same here. I'm glad to be back in it. Glad to have something to look forward to. Get those extra weeks of practice. Yeah, I love it. I can't wait for it to get started. So this is Brandon saying go Noles.
Go Gators.